Bradley, what's up, man? Thank you for
Hey,
joining me. It's been years and years since we last saw each other, but man, glad you're here.
it has been a while. Lots going on. So thank you for having me.
We were talking about it before we started. It was the days when I had the long beard, so a little different these days than it used to be.
Yeah, you got rid of a beard and I added some pounds. So yeah, it happens, man. But
Yeah,
good stuff.
it's weird. It's like you add a few pounds, lose a little hair in the wrong places, get some more hair in the wrong places. It's very strange.
Yeah, that's midlife right there. You wake up one day and there's hair in your ears and stuff like your dad. And you're like, what is this about?
Yeah, I
So
was looking at a picture the other day that I had taken. I think my kids and I were on a hike, and I looked at the picture, and I don't know if the sun hit my beard just right or if it's reality, but there is so much more gray in my beard than there used to be.
it's a good look though. That's good. That's character. That's experience. It's earned experience there. It's
You
good
know, and
stuff.
also I think just in talking with uh women and in general, I actually think women appreciate a little gray in the beard is what I'm figuring out.
Thank God it took, had I known that they like gray in the beard and you've got some hair still. I mean, with me, I would have done this 5 years earlier had I known that they dug bald guys somehow, but we're trying to hang on to it. But yeah, shame.
Did you like is are you thinning like or do you just like a shaved head? Like what is that for you?
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of guys out there have done this. Okay, I hung on to it for really about 3 or 4 years longer than I needed to. Your
Okay,
forehead,
yeah.
your forehead starts here, and then one day you take pictures and your forehead's up here. And I'm like, oh my God. So I hung on to it. It was thin. And finally, it was some of my female friends that were like, honey, just shave this thing off. Okay. And I
Oh, they
did.
did. That's
So,
good. Good thing they told
oh,
you.
I'm telling you, that's the best thing in the world. If you have some women that you trust that will just kind of guide you on style things. Yeah. And it was so funny because it's like, and any guy who's done this knows. I mean, very few men are like completely, truly bald all the way. So I've got a little bit. And boy, that first couple of times you do it, it's scary because you're just like, this looks so weird. I would never go back now. I know a lot of guys they work on all the treatments and stuff. No, I'm this is how it is. It's also low maintenance and you save money on product too, so it's
Yeah, I
good.
bet. I bet. Yeah, I don't understand. And I think the hanging on to thinning hair is indicative of a greater issue that guys just have with getting older and transitioning between seasons and
Mhm.
trying to hang on to the last, semblance of their youth. To me, I kind of like where I am right now. I've had some external factors that have been challenging over the past year, but I like where I'm at. I like my maturity level. I like where I'm at physically. I like where I am mentally and emotionally. So I
Yeah,
don't feel like there's much for me to hang on to that I see so many guys unnecessarily cling to.
I think that cling to is a great word for it, and I'm with you. I think that we're raised in large part to reminisce, to want something, to feel like we're losing something, but really it's you're gaining something. You're smart about it, and unfortunately, most of us aren't until you're there and it hits you in the face. There's a lot to gain. It's not like, oh my God, I've lost this and I have to hold on to my youth or hold on to something else or my best days behind me. I mean, not a winning attitude at all. But when you finally get there, and after you kind of cross that bridge, you finally realize, hey, I still have a lot of miles left, and there's still a lot of good things too. And to be cliche. I mean, they're the chapters and seasons and all that, but it's true, and each one's different. And yeah, there's so much to it. I think that's the whole thing. There's complexities, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's professional, all of these things that, man, if you just kind of embrace the now with it, it can be good stuff.
Where do you feel like most guys go wrong as they get older? And I think there's pivotal moments. I would say when you turn 18, that's a pivotal moment. Probably somewhere in your mid 20s, when you get married, start having children. These are all pivotal
Mm-hmm.
moments. And then I think another pivotal moment might be when you're first leaves the house. Like there's moments that
Right.
happen, and I'm wondering where guys go wrong and why they seem to get so stuck, as opposed to moving forward in life with the attitude of my best days are ahead of me, not behind me.
It's interesting. I mean, you're right. It's all these pivotal moments, these giant life stages or forks in the road. I don't know if it's a matter if they get it wrong as much. It's just each one's a little different. Because you're right. I mean, becoming an empty nester is very different than um, having a divorce or something like that. I just think it's these things where we look and yeah, we are conditioned to how things should look. And I think that a lot of us, a lot of guys, you know, we were raised to be competitive. We were raised to kind of look a little to the side there, and how am I doing compared to the next guy? And I think that a lot of it has to do culturally now. We look at social media, we look at everything, and we look at the guy of, okay, he's got the hotter wife, the bigger house, making more money, doing all this stuff. And I think, a lot of guys go wrong by hanging on to the what I should do, what looks right. It should have been this way. This is how it ought to look. And while there are some core elements to that, I think when you finally hit a certain age or stage of life, and you get, either things blow up or you blow them up, you realize, hey, I get a chance to do this the way that I really want. I've earned all this experience. I've earned all these things. I have these scars. Now, what am I going to do with this knowledge? And I think the mistake is they don't do anything with it because they're still thinking, well, I need it to look a certain way. It has to look a certain way. And instead of just going, no, I get to really truly be my own man in the way that I want, in using those experiences, good and bad.
I think one of the things that older men, and I'm 42, so I wouldn't consider myself an older man, but I'm getting older.
Right.
I think one of the best things that we have going for us is a level of non-neediness. I've seen that so often with guys, whether it's in the dating space or even with jobs and career paths. There's such a neediness and desperation in so many men because they're operating out of scarcity that it's repulsive. It's repulsive to potential employers. It's repulsive to potential clients. It's repulsive to potential romantic partners. But as you get older, I mean, there's not as much neediness there. Like I don't need a woman to validate me. I don't need a particular client because it's not going to make or break me. I don't need somebody to hire me because I've created my own source of income. It's a huge advantage that I think a lot of older gentlemen overlook.
It's a giant advantage, but it takes you a long time to get there, and some guys never do. I think that's the hard part. And neediness is a great word for it. And whether you're and look, I mean, look, the thing is, look, I don't claim to have all the answers. And we're all still doing it too. I think that's the other really important thing. Is just like you don't get in shape and stop training. I mean, you're always evolving and growing, and with each stage comes. I mean, I'm a little older than you are, and you think you have it figured out, and guess what? Life is going to hand you something that you have not been prepared for.
No
And I
doubt.
think that's the biggest thing right there. There's no guidebook for it. But that neediness, that graspiness, I think all of us in various ways. There are some guys that just always have their shit figured out since day one. Awesome, great, good for you. But I think a lot of us get hit upside the head sometimes, whether it is personally, financially, emotionally. We talked earlier about what's those stages. I think for a lot of guys, it's that first time of falling on your ass. It's that first time of, and whether that is in a relationship or whether that is financially or anything. And there's a lot of guys out there, and I was this one who, I just had to make stuff happen. Just shit worked for me, and I also worked my ass off for it. But everything went, and I was somehow, even if I was, backs against the wall, I can find a way to make it work. Until those first few times when you don't. Until those first few times when you would always dug deep and make it work, and then sometimes you're like, wait a minute, I can't make this marriage work. I can't. Something happens that is beyond your control, or that you just screw up for the first time, and you're like, wow, I can't pull that out. And I think that for a lot of guys is a tough one. That's a big moment right there of going, God, I can't do this like I used to, or I have to do it differently than I used to. And that's when we either become, you see people either become graspy and needy, or they put on this bullshit air of false bravado, and they put on the mask, and it continues. And I see that more on the relationship side. They put that mask on. You can hide a lot in business, and you can kind of do that, and you can kind of control a little more. In a relationship side, when they put that wall up, that's the hard stuff right there, because it's really hiding a lot of stuff.
What does that actually look like? Are you talking about with that wall or that mask or that false bravado towards your significant other, or towards new romantic interest? Like you don't let women in? Like what does it actually look like?
It could be both. I think it can be both. I think it could be in a marriage. I think it could be, yeah, I'm talking like, you're right, in a relationship type standpoint with dating. It's a lot of the work that I do is in the relationship area. And I see it with people who got burned once, and it's like, damn it, I'm never letting anybody in again. I'm not,
Yeah.
I got hurt. She cheated on me, or something screwed up, or yeah, and you just shut it off. And so that's the funny thing. I see a lot of people, men and women, but a lot of men who have strong men, but they've been open and vulnerable and giving. And if they get burned, then it's like, nope, I'm going to go into a totally different mode here, and that's a hard thing. And they end up hurting themselves. Or you mentioned the needy thing. It's a spectrum. They go on one side of it's the wall is up, or it is the, oh my God, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone, and I just need somebody. And then that's when yeah, at least in the relationship and kind of dating world, you see people start running numbers and start just accumulating, people in bodies, and be rather callous about it.
Yeah, I can see that. I think going back to what you said about getting burned, where a guy's giving and giving and giving, and he gets burned in some way. I think
Mhm.
some of that stems from the fact that a lot of guys are giving just with the expectation or anticipation of something in return, and it becomes keeping score. So I'm going to
Yeah,
give so much into this relationship, but if I don't get exactly what I want, that by the way, most of the time isn't communicated to our partners. If I
right.
don't get exactly what I want, then I'm going to feel slighted in some way and I'm going to stop giving. Well, that's not really a great motive for giving. I think
No,
giving becomes more powerful when it's intrinsic. It's you do it because it's the right thing to do. And the energy that you bring to the equation when you're giving like that is so much more powerful than, hey, I gave you 3 times, so I mean, come on, it's time to reciprocate. That's just a
yeah,
failed relationship just waiting to happen.
absolutely. I mean, and that's a problem in marriages. That's a problem in any relationship, really. Is you think if it's a giant quid pro quo where I've got to keep score all the time, that's just
Mm-hmm.
wrong. But the other piece to that, and a lot of it has to do with, it's just how we're raised. Okay, you know, we have everybody comes to any situation, even friendships, but you come to a relationship with your own set of expectations and your own definitions for things. And no one's clairvoyant, no one's a mind reader. So you want something from someone, you want things to look a certain way, and then you get all bent out of shape when it doesn't occur. And I think that's one of the biggest problems is we don't know how we even define something like communication or intimacy or anything like that. What is really, and I ask people I work with that, what does communication mean to you? Well, I want someone who communicates. I want someone who's open. I want someone intimacy. Okay, cool. Well, what does it mean to you? Because you may think of it one way, but that person who you're married to or dating or whatever may define it completely different. Unless you actually communicate what that looks like to you, then there's a fair shot. There's a good shot of, hey, this person can either act on it, deliver on it, or maybe they just can't. But at least that communication is out in the open. And that goes for when you're married. I mean, I think so many people who look, I applaud the people who get married once and stay that way. Okay, I was married for 16 years, and I've met generation that you do it and you do it right, you do it once, and it just didn't. And there were so many things that we come into relationships not knowing that are just so simple. When you step back after you've screwed it up or burned it, and you go, wait, that's intuitive. I mean, it should be, but we don't do it because we're scared or we just have other expectations rather than just you know putting it out there. And I think that's what screws a lot of things up is we do not adequately communicate our expectations because we really don't know specifically what we expect and want.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I actually wrote those 2 things down. I wrote expectations and boundaries, making sure you're sharing them. And the next line was knowing what you want. So you and I think are in alignment. I,
Oh
I
yeah.
see these guys who, they have this idea of what they want, like you said, an intimacy or a relationship or a business or whatever it may be. And they hold people to impossible standards that aren't communicated. I don't know if it's fear, or it's got to be fear. I mean, there would be no other reason not to share that information with somebody, or is there?
I don't. Each case is a little unique on that. I mean, everybody. I think it's funny. I mean, look, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I've pretty much purchased, what would be the equivalent of vehicles, both for counselors and therapists. But the deal is, so much of it stems from how you're raised. So much of it stems from your own bullshit and your own things that you bring to it. You probably heard me talk about it. I mean, it's the idea of we talk about relationships externally, but the common denominator in every one of your relationships, I don't care if it's with your friends, your coworkers, your romantic relationships, is you. You're it. You bring the same thing to everything. And a lot of that comes from how you saw your parents communicate, how they fought, how they handled each other, how open they were, all of that. And we just bring it to each relationship. And unless after something blows up, I mean, some people are just gifted that way. Okay, fantastic. But I mean, if you after you've gone through a divorce, a breakup, or a series of relationships, and the hard part is to realize, hey, maybe this might be me. It's not that she's a bitch and this was horrible and such and such. It's just, no, maybe you're the problem. And a lot of people don't like to look at that. And maybe it's not just the problem, it's just you haven't taken time. Because what so many people do is they bounce, especially after a divorce too. Okay, they bounce from person to person to person, to thing to thing to thing, without having really examined, okay, what do I bring to the table? What do I truly want? Because sometimes this is another important aspect to it. What you want may not be what you need. What you want, or what your type, or what you think you want, or what you've always had, may just be bad for you, may just not work, but it's familiar. And so too many times people are stuck in the familiar, and being miserable, but it's familiar, rather than trying something new that might actually be good for them.
Yeah. I mean, I see this a lot with guys who almost like they're addicted to craziness. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're just moving from crazy woman to crazy woman to crazy woman. And look, yeah, sometimes it's an isolated thing, but sometimes you're attracting that into your life because you actually secretly like the drama or the bullshit of it. But women do it too. A lot of women will be attracted to the wrong type of guy who's going to end up emotionally hurting them in some way. And then they have the audacity, and I'm not saying this is exclusive to women, men do it too, but they have the audacity to say, how come I can't find a good guy? Because you don't give the good guy who you say you're interested in the time of day. You're attracting these assholes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny. I mean, we tend to go for the same types. And I know on a personal level, I mean, I did that. I mean, my friends, I should have listened to my friends, okay, after I got divorced. They said, the problem is, Bradley, you keep getting better looking versions of the same person. I go, what do you mean? They called it coffee. I go, what do you mean? They go, if a woman is hot, dark, and bitter, she's yours. I mean, you're totally after that. Like, okay, heard. And the reason for that was, and it was finally after I got, I did. I mean, I had a big moment after I had kind of done my thing, and I kept getting not burned, but just I found myself in really unfulfilling situations. That's it. Yeah. And I looked and I thought, okay, what am I doing here? Okay. And I love how you said that. You said, people just you go for crazy. Well, I went for certain things, and the reason was, and a lot of guys do this, because why? Because we're fixers, and I love, and I told you one of the first times we spoke, I love the idea of protect, provide, reside. I love that. And I think as a man, you want to protect, and you want to be needed, and you want to take care of. And so that's a great thing. However, sometimes, especially after a divorce, I guess, I picked broken women. Okay. Oh my God, if they were a train wreck because they needed me, I was always there. I could swoop in and be the hero and take care of them. And that was it. And, was that great? Sure. That made me feel good. Absolutely. But it was also this giant mass, because in picking these train wrecks that I could save and fix and help, I wasn't helping myself. And it was an easy way for me to avoid actually looking at myself and doing the work on my own of going, why am I doing this here? Why am I going back to the well on that one? And when I finally realized you're picking broken women and broken people, and men and women do it too, with the bad boys or whatever, that changed the game significantly. I need to attract something differently, and that comes from what I'm putting out there, okay, of how I'm showing up. And it also means me taking a beat and stopping and not just jumping in, because I think that's a big thing right there. Is one of the best things we can do is actually step out. And I say, we tend to make the mistake of thinking, I need a relationship, I want a person. Okay, well, let's just be blunt with it. Okay, do you want a person? Do you want a relationship? Do you just want to get laid? Okay, fine. Anything's okay. But what you really want is a connection. And I think that's the biggest thing. People want a connection. And whether that connection can come from, that has to come first. Because if you have a connection with your friends, with family, with a community, with your buddies, whatever, then you come as a whole person, not rather than I have to fill this hole because my ex ripped it out or because I'm just need to be a fixer. You show up differently. You attract differently. You attract healthy people. And that's just a whole game changer when you do that.
I think it's accurate. I know it has been in my life that the more you focus on yourself, the better you're going to attract different kind of people, healthy people. But it's so boring, and it's like, and it takes forever. And guys are like, oh shit, I got to work out every day for the rest of my life. Yeah.
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 Right.
Or I got to read these books. Like, oh, another book. Yep. Or I have to do some mental work, whether it's through journaling or processing my emotions or past experiences. I don't want to do that. I just want to get laid, like you said. Well, I mean, you can go do that and produce the same results that you've always had in your life.
A trained monkey can get laid. Okay, I mean that's even an untrained monkey can.
I was going to say I don't think they need training for that.
Here's the thing. There's three that come to mind. You mentioned boring. Okay, and that is so spot on the money because I talk to so many people, and they'll get their act together and they'll meet somebody and they'll go, yeah, they're great, but it's just kind of boring. It's not really fiery. There's none of this passion. It's not, because you're addicted to crazy. You're addicted to drama. You're addicted to being abused. You're addicted to all this emotional roller coaster. And you're used to this ride at Six Flags where it's, super high, super hot, super intense. And it's like, it's like this amazing, first month or two. And then what happens? Then it just bottoms out. And people look at that and they look at the normal person. I say normal, rather healthy person. And they think that's boring. I go, no, that's just healthy. Okay. Instead of riding these giant waves, how about you just kind of have a little of this, have it a little even keel. That's not boring. That's actually healthy. And you're just not used to it because you're used to feeding on the drama and the other bullshit. The other thing that I think is interesting is, you said that about guys or anybody going, God, me actually stepping up and having to work out and do these and better myself. Yeah, it's work. Okay. I mean, look, you and I've heard this phrase a lot before. It's choose your heart. Okay. It's like, being rich is hard, being broke is hard. Choose your heart. Same thing with any of this. What do you want? But, this is the best tip I can give and your listeners are people, they're here because they want to do better. They want to be better men anyway. Okay. So that already, we eliminate a good chunk of the population and competition. But I'm telling you, I have a huge audience that is largely women, oddly enough. And I'm telling you, this is coming straight out of their mouths. The bar is so low. The bar is so remarkably low for men out there because there are so many guys just, I don't even say doing it wrong. They're just not doing it. They're just not putting any effort in themselves, in a relationship and communicating and learning to be better. That with the bar it's so low, if you're doing the effort, if you're making the effort and doing the work on you, just already, I'm not talking six-pack abs and, a fat bank account, just by being a good man, there aren't that many out there, or at least what a lot of them experience. So you set yourself miles apart already by consistently, and that consistent word is huge. Being consistent, following through, doing what you say, acting with integrity, core tenets of the things that you talk about and the folks in your community. So many people that I deal with, and this is really a worldwide thing. Men just don't show up. Just showing up, that's hot, that's sexy, that's attractive, that's appealing. It's not necessarily the other stuff. It's nice, but
yeah, I talked with a woman yesterday who was talking about this exact same thing, and she was saying that in a previous relationship, she really got along with this person, but he wouldn't get out of bed early, he wouldn't go work out, and he wouldn't excel and succeed in work. Like he wouldn't exert himself in those three departments. And she said, and it became so unattractive to me. And I thought to myself, I'm like, getting up early, going to work out, and exerting yourself at work, like that's basic level stuff. Like there's nothing exceptional about that, or at least there shouldn't be. Maybe it is because of the climate and the culture, right. But that shouldn't be all that difficult.
Right.
I think the other thing is just following through on what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to do it, then do it. If you're not going to do it, just don't say you're going to do it, and then you don't have any hook to catch yourself on. I
I
just
mean, yeah.
it's crazy. You know,
It's
I think about this even with like a client relationship. If you tell
mhm.
a client you're going to get back to him this afternoon, you damn well better get back to him this
Yep.
afternoon. If you
Hmm.
get back to him in the morning and you say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I was busy, and you know, I lost track of my day." You think that client cares about how busy you were or how you lost track of your day? No, what the client thinks is this is an unreliable person, and I'm
Hmm.
not interested in doing business with this person.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's reflected in almost every aspect of your life. I mean, and that's just it. And it's funny. I mean, I know probably people watching and listening to this are thinking, well, yeah, no shit. I mean, that's pretty simple stuff. It is, but I think the thing that blew my mind is how few people actually do it. And that's just it. It shouldn't be exceptional, yet it is. And that right there is um, you asked that question earlier in the conversation about what do men screw up on? That that right there is actually um, putting themselves on cruise control, just kind of riding it, just getting comfortable, realizing that you don't have that you do have to you have to show up every day. Every day you have to show up. And that isn't a relationship, that is anything. You can have bad days, of course you can. You're not expecting perfection. You can lose it, you can be open and vulnerable and all that. But yeah, you got to put in the effort. And I think the moment again, that's probably why a lot of marriages fall apart too. And I fell victim to this before. Is you get comfortable and you cruise,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just not a good way to go through a relationship or life at all. Especially
Yeah,
when
I
you're
mean
looking.
that's a big part of what happened in my marriage too. Me getting comfortable, me getting complacent, and I talk about this stuff on a daily basis, and
Right.
so I know. And yet, it's still challenging at times to get up and to exert and to push a little harder than you did before, or learn a new skill, or go out of your way to make your wife feel special like you used to do. Like all these things that we think we're just set and we just leave them alone, and then we move on to something else, and that bright and shiny object, and all of a sudden the prize, the valuable stuff over here that we've neglected is like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't I actually I can see why. Like if you're looking at it objectively, it's like, yeah, I get that. It sucks, but it's like, yeah, understandable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it should bother you first, And I think that lack of accountability, I think that's a big thing. I think you're at least um look, I got three kids in their 20s, and I've heard your stuff on dealing with your son. I love that. I love watching you guys make the boat and everything, and you're teaching them young. I taught mine young, but you never know. I mean, being a parent's a long game. It's so the long game. You have
Yeah.
no idea how you're doing until they're gone out of the house. And I think that's one of the big things that I look at is, yeah, I wish I'd have had some of these skills or knowledge, younger, when I was younger or earlier in relationships. But sometimes you got to screw it up, and I think that's I respect that about you and about a lot of other people in the movement and such. And that's the idea of nobody's perfect. Okay. I mean, look,
Right.
you've heard me and other people who've heard me on social media. I mean, look, I'll tell you the good, bad, the ugly. I mean, I've screwed the pooch umpteen jillion times. I've been a good man and a douchebag. And my becoming a good man came largely from lessons of screwing it up. And I think that's an important piece, is that you are accountable and finally can look yourself in the mirror and go, I can do better. I know I could do better. And you stop being the victim. And victim is such a weak word, but a lot of us, a lot of guys, and a lot of people in general, love to throw blame on. Oh, well, she did this. The boss did this. No, there's there. I was a headhunter, an executive recruiter for a long, long time. I was a partner at a big search firm, and one of the best pieces of advice I got when I started is good for life. And it was this, and it was just, there's so few things in this business or life that you can actually control. The few things that you can, you better strangle, you better choke them out, because there's so little that you actually can guide. So what you have control over, you nail it. And how you show up and how you perform and what you do and you do for others, man, that's the good stuff. And sometimes it takes us a long time to get to midlife or be an advanced adult to figure that shit out.
Yeah. I like that idea of just focusing on what you can control. I've also thought there's, like you said, there's so much that's outside of our control.
Mhm.
But the more you strangle, to use your verbiage, the controllables, the
Mhm.
easier the uncontrollables are to manage. I
Right.
thought about that in going through my divorce, and it's been hard, and it was really challenging. And I don't want to dismiss the gravity of it, the weight of it, and how hard it has been.
Right.
But I've had people comment like, "Hey, you seem like you've navigated this pretty well." And the only reason is because I went back to focusing on what I can control, which made the situation more manageable. I think if I let everything fall apart and I used my divorce to self-destruct and to crumble and turn back to alcoholism and all these other things, then I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. But I'm here and it's manageable, even though it's difficult and I have bad days. It's manageable because I've decided to focus on what is within my grasp.
Right. I think that's an important thing too, is, you know, look, I mean, I'm not shy about this. I've suffered from depression before, like a lot of men. And especially after coming through a divorce or anything like that. And I think that's one of the things, is just recognizing that, yeah, you're going to have bad days. Okay. But also recognizing it's okay to have some bad days. Okay. That one bad day does not make the bad life, that it does not spiral, that it does not take you out of control. It is a matter of you actually going, okay, I am where I am right now. That idea of being present and in the moment, I think, is so huge. And, I keep going back to that one question you said, because there's not just one thing men screw up on, there's a lot that we all screw up on. But
Sure. Yeah.
I think that, in the work that I do and also my personal life, I just think that idea of being present and in the moment, is so critical. And that's not some woo-woo term or anything. It's just, be where you are. Be where you are. Because too many times when you're with your wife or your girlfriend or your kids or whatever, yet you're focused on work and you're a million miles away, or you think, oh yeah, this is shit, and you get trapped in that of how do I find a way out. No, it's just one foot in front of the other. It's kind of like anything. It's like working out. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. It's just consistently showing up, being there, being right there at that moment, working towards something and getting you through. And I think that's a large part. Um, a lot of the midlife thing is, hey, how am I getting through? You know, we either look back or we look forward instead of just being right here in this moment, and you miss a lot, and you miss the lessons that can come from being right there in that moment too.
It's easy to overlook the seemingly insignificant things too, though. Like, so for example, if you wake up in the morning and your alarm goes off at 6 and you hit snooze and get up at 6:15, like you already lost the very
Mhm.
first activity that you could have won. Like you
Right.
lost the day.
Yep.
The rest of your day is going to go poorly because of that. If you don't make your bed, I know it sounds stupid and trivial and insignificant, but you're not taking care of your stuff. You're not paying respect to your space or your bedroom or the work environment. If you don't think about what you're going to have for lunch, and instead of going with something good and healthy and clean, you just go
Right.
to the default, which is Burger King or McDonald's or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, do that once, yeah, maybe, but those are just little notches in the loss column, and those compound so much, and it becomes devastating over time.
Well, you lose control of your life that way, and again, look, too much control, that can be a bad thing too, because you're trying to control everything. But this is something that you can control: how you show up, how you treat your body, how you perform. And the thing that keeps coming back to the phrase that I use on it's simple. Are you keeping those promises to yourself? That's
Mm.
it. Are you keeping those promises to yourself? You say you want one thing. Are you doing those things? Because, yeah, we'll work hard and we'll try and keep promises and be integrity to other people. Great. But it starts with, can you do that to yourself? Because if you don't do that to yourself or for yourself, man, that's where the wheels fall off. Everything
Yeah.
else falls off after that point. And you could fake it, or you could take care of everybody else for a while, but at some point you're going to implode, and that's it. So you got to keep the promise. I think that was a hard lesson for me and for a lot of people who are providers, and whether that's men or women, because we're raised to, you know, we're always looking ahead. We're assigned labels. Okay, you go to school. What are you going? You go to school. We're going to go to school. What are you going to major in? What are you going to do when you get out? When you get married? When you have kids? You're going to do all this, and we have the labels and the expectations, and we take care of everyone else. And it is. I mean, it's that oxygen mask theory, you got to put it on yourself first. Because if I'm not doing that and taking care of me, it falls apart with my kids, with my relationships, with everything else. And we're brought up to mean that's kind of selfish. You can't have that ego. No, it's tough. It took me a while. It took a lot of people to figure that out because we are great. We are raised to take care of others, and you should. But again, you're useless otherwise.
Well, I found even with those things, let's take working out, for example, a lot of guys will use their family as an excuse. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're not being virtuous when they say, oh, I can't because I'm busy. I can't work out. Like that's not a virtuous behavior. That's hiding. That's hiding. It's weakness. That's hiding behind your family as an excuse not to do what you know you should be doing. And so people do that all the time. But the best thing that you can do in those situations, at least in my experience, is start small, right? So if you're not used to working out, like I'm not telling you to go put 2 hours in the gym every single day, like right in the middle of your time with your family.
Right.
But maybe you wake up a half an hour earlier than you normally do, and you go in and maybe even in your garage, or you go for a quick walk or a run before anybody gets up. So don't tell me that you're not working out or training because you're wanting to spend time with your family. You can do both. You can spend time with your family, and that's another great one. Yeah, take them with you. Show them.
Right. Yeah, it's just again, it's like I said, keeping promises to yourself, and we love to deflect. We love to put it on the other person, and not everyone does. But I'm just saying it becomes easier to do, and when we get comfortable, that's it. The hard stuff is making, and it goes with anything. It's making those hard decisions, and it shouldn't be. It should, like I said, we're not splitting the atom here. Make your bed, show up, go work out. But we make things comfortable, and it's the same thing in relationships. And we do it with friends, we do it with our family, we do it with our partners. Just having the difficult conversation, saying what you want, saying what you need, saying what you expect, being clear. It's amazing how much easier life could be and how much better your relationships could be if you just be willing and brave enough to have a difficult conversation. That's it. It doesn't mean they're going to leave. It doesn't mean they're going to pack ass. It doesn't mean that they're done with you. It's just, hey, that doesn't work for me. And again, it sounds so simple, yet too often we're scared of doing it, or we don't want to do it because we might not like the answer, or we come up with every excuse in the book. And instead of just showing up, and I found, we've covered a lot of topics, but I think that in terms of relationships for people who are like post-divorce, man, that's just being authentic, doing and showing up as you really are and saying it. That's powerful. That is mature. That's masculine. That's attractive. That's just, we overlook it too often. And it's funny because I talk to so many people every day who overthink things when when it's really, we kill ourselves with overthinking, when really, I mean, it's just a basic physics lesson. What's the shortest distance between 2 points? Straight line in conversation, straight line in just doing it and just showing up. And yet we screw it up internally and externally by overthinking too many things and overanalyzing it.
Well, I mean, and the other thing is if you're honest, you're genuine with people. And I like that. I mean, there's authenticity and vulnerability and all these kind of things. And, they get bastardized and nobody knows what the hell we're talking about because everybody means something different. But I'm just, to me, it's just being genuine to who you are. Also, the word genuine to me doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole. Sometimes people say, well, I'm just being authentic. It's like, well, you're authentically a dickhead then.
Right.
But genuine is, I'm being true to myself. I'm honoring what I want. But also I can do that in a respectful way towards others. But if somebody's going to bail, whether it's a romantic partner or a potential client or whoever it might be, because you're being genuine about what you want in life, I mean, is that really somebody you want around anyways? And also, even if you do manage to deceive them for any amount of time because you're not being genuine, that's going to come out at some point. And you will have wasted potentially years of your life because you were hiding behind this person you weren't, just because you were afraid of being lonely, to your point earlier, or whatever it might be. But just being genuine, and then it's also fair. That's the thing I found. Like it's the fair thing to do for other people.
Yep.
Not only is it disingenuous to be someone you're not, you're lying to somebody else and you're wasting their time. It's
Yeah.
fair to be honest so that person can make an assessment as to whether or not they want to be with you.
Well, there's 100%. There's a couple of things that come to mind on this, and you're talking about the saying, just being genuine in what you say, and if you're coming from a place that's true to yourself, um, you know, as I said, I mean, I work with a lot of people, all over the world, but it's a lot of women, and they will sit there and I get responsive, that guy, all he wants is sex. That guy, all he wants is this, and just wants to be a player or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's fine if that's what they want. But what do you want? Because guess what? There's a lot of women that want to do that too. And the point is
Mm-hmm.
this, people are looking for what's a right answer. They come at it from what they believe in that someone should do or feel is right. You know what's right? What is right is what's right for you right then. If you are operating from a place of truth on you, if you're like, what, I don't want to be married, I don't want to be in a relationship, I just want to go and have fun, whatever, however you define that, there is not a damn thing wrong with telling someone that. The problem occurs, and I see this so often, is it occurs because you don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. Oh, so, you're not looking for a relationship, but they are. So guess what? You bullshit your way in there. And next thing you know, you've led them on for, 2 months, 3 months, a year, when you have no intention of being with this person. So you're wasting their time. You're not being in integrity with yourself. When instead, if you just say, what, hey, I really don't want anything serious, but I'd love to spend time with you, but I'm just really looking to have a good time or have fun or companionship or do something right now. That's just being truthful with yourself. That's it. But we don't want to hurt someone's feelings. And so next thing you know, that's how people get burned. And again, the level of respect for yourself and for the other person by just saying it, they're big people, they're grown as adults. They can opt out and say, well, you know what, that didn't work for me. I don't want to do that. But when you both are lying to yourselves and each other, that's the problem. And you mentioned this about kind of the kind of changing. Yeah, the example I use is a chameleon. Okay. And I think that a lot of us have become chameleons as we approach midlife. And, chameleon, I mean, what? It changes color, adapts its color to survive, right? It's an adaptive instinct. And while that changes color, we find ourselves adapting our behavior and what we say and what we expect. And rather than to survive, we do it to be loved, we do it to be accepted, we do it to belong, we do it to keep the peace. And after a point in time, you bullshitted yourself so much and been this chameleon for so long that you really forget what your real color is. What color are you? What do you really stand for? Who are you really? Because you've had to be this adaptive person in every situation, at work, in a relationship, in a marriage, with friends. And I see that happen largely after people get divorced. And they go from a we to a me. They don't even know what a me means anymore because they've been in this unit for so long and they've adapted. And I think that's a big thing, is when you are just true to yourself. Who am I when I'm not trying to perform? Who am I when I'm not trying to impress anybody else, when I don't have to live up to anyone else's expectations or accountability? And that's not being selfish, just who really am I at my core? And that's when you can come from a place of truth. And you're going to find that your relationships externally and internally change dramatically when you figure that out.
Hmm. I do want to dive a little deeper on that. One thing you said, and I thought it was interesting, is, and I don't entirely agree with you on this, is you said that a lot of people are worried about hurting other people's feelings. I actually don't think that's what it is.
Okay.
I think that's what people will say it is. I don't want to hurt other people. But I think more than that, it's that you don't want to sit with the discomfort of hurting somebody else. It's not about
Right.
how they feel. It's about how you feel. It's
Well,
selfish.
it is. It is. Yeah, I don't know what the percentage is, but you're exactly right. It's kind of like, the bullshit term ghosting right now. Okay. Oh, what grown ass adult actually just stops calling somebody or texting instead of saying, hey, you know what, this doesn't work for me. Hey, you're not my person. Hey, you're awesome, but not for me. And yet,
Mm-hmm.
so many, I can't tell you how many people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond who I pretty much deal with will say, look, we've been seeing each other for so long, or we were talking, and I'm not talking about just texting back and forth a couple of times. I'm talking about you've actually spent significant time together, and then someone just disappears. Who the hell does that? Okay, a 16-year-old kid does that, but a grown-ass man shouldn't do that. And I think that's part of it. Why? Is because yeah, well, I don't want to hurt them, but you're exactly right. It's more they disappear because they don't want to have that hard conversation. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
to, they don't want to screw up the narrative that they have created in their own head of, I'm a good guy. No, you're a shitty person if you just kind of go somebody and walk off like that. And I think that's part of it right there is they just don't, it goes against the narrative that they've created about themselves. And so
Yeah.
they don't want to do that.
I mean, I think about it with my relationship with my children. I have to have difficult conversations with my kids when they're out of line or they do something they
Right.
shouldn't, or they need to learn a lesson about life that I have to help them see in some way. And I don't hold back on those conversations. Most fathers don't. I think we could always do a better job in the way that we deliver those lessons or that discipline. Maybe with a little
Absolutely.
bit more tenderness than we default to. I would say, at least that's the case for me.
Right.
Uh, but I don't shy away from those conversations because I love my kids more than I love myself. Like I I know that this is what they need,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm willing to sacrifice my well-being or my emotions or my desire to not rock the boat
Mm-hmm.
because I'm putting my kids' needs ahead of my own. And that's
Right.
what we do for people that we love and care about.
Right. No. Um, it's interesting. It's not only having those difficult conversations, but you and I haven't talked about this offline, but I listened to one of your most recent episodes, um, uh, um, the parenting book. Okay, John, is it John Gary Bishop?
Oh yeah, yeah, grow up.
Okay, I listened to that, loved that, absolutely loved that. And I too was estranged from my father for a long time, and um, it's not just having the conversation, the difficult conversations of being the parent and stepping in and maybe potentially having conflict because you love them and want something better. But I also think it's that being being open enough to go, hey, I don't have the answers right now. I don't know what I'm
Mm.
doing, or I am screwing up. And I think that is that's some powerful stuff. And I remember listening to that, and I appreciated hearing it that in that conversation. And I know I've lived that with my kids, and sometimes too. You can go way off the deep end. I mean, granted, I probably have gone, erred on both sides on that. But I think that that's an important part as well, is to have the tough conversation. Sometimes the tough conversation is, and I'm not saying being, some, open simp on anything, but I'm just like, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm having a hard time with this, or this isn't working, or here's what I'm thinking or feeling on it. And I think just the traction you get and respect you get moves any relationship forward, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with another person, anything. And yet we've kind of been raised to, like I said, go back to the chameleon. Oh, we'll have to adapt. I have to look this way in this situation, or I should do this. Well, what feels right for you, and what feels right for you right then in that situation? What do you feel that it needs? What do you feel that if you're talking with someone, like with my kids, one of the biggest lessons, I've had a hard year with my kids. Okay. Yes. It happens. Just because they're grown doesn't mean shit. Okay. So, I think that's the hard one, is just to go, hey, I'm, trying to put yourself in their shoes. I have to think of what I wanted from my dad when I was 25 years old. I have to now think of with my 25-year-old and go, okay, and just try and reframe that and um, be in the moment. So I said, be in the now with it. Where is he right now at this, and how can I try and meet him with that in the hard conversations, and even including the hard conversations about myself with it as well.
I think that can work really well. You're talking about the honesty, the openness, the humility to say, I don't have this figured out. I'm on the path
Right.
to with the people you care about, or even the people you're leading. I
Right.
think that can work for a man. But I also think there's a caveat. And that caveat is that you have to be willing to show people that you're doing something about it. Because the
Nailed it.
alternative is, well, I don't know, I don't know what
Oh,
I'm doing. And then it just
nobody likes
becomes an
that.
excuse. It's just
Right.
ignorance and stupidity and childness, being childish. But if you say, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm navigating this divorce, for example. I'm navigating, and I've talked to my children about this. Hey guys,
Right.
like, look, I'm navigating this transition just like you are. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have all the answers, but here's what
Mm-hmm.
I know. And
Mm-hmm.
here's what I'm doing to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. So you can
Mm-hmm.
be open and honest, but don't end the conversation by
No.
making yourself look foolish or incapable of growing. Let people know what the path is. And then, most importantly, let them see you executing on what you said you're going to do.
1,000%. Yeah. I mean, look, I mean, if you've ever led people before in business or anything, it's like, look, don't come to me. It's okay to not have the answer, but how am I finding out the answer? What am I doing about that? How am I fixing
Mm-hmm.
it? What am I doing to work on the situation? I don't have it figured out yet, but I'm moving there. And that's it. That's it. But I see a lot of people falsely believe that, well, because I'm supposed to have all the answers. And so they kind of fake their way through it, and you end up screwing
Mm-hmm.
things up, or doing nothing about it. And they screw it
Right.
up than that.
Yeah.
And I think that loses a lot of traction. And it goes back to in anything, whether it's in business or with your kids or, just even in relationships, just do what you say you're going to do. Hey, if I can't call you tomorrow, if I can't call you for 3 days, I can't call you for 3 days. Don't just go off the grid. Just say, show up and be honest about it. And again, I keep coming back to that because it's something I hear so often with the people that I deal with, and I'm sharing that with your audience as here and as men. Look, you'd be stunned at how few people actually do that, and that more so than anything is what a lot of people are really looking for. Is just you've been burned somehow. So actually, someone who just shows up and does what they say and is consistent is that's rocket fuel right there. It's good stuff.
It's reliability, right?
Mm-hmm.
We as men value reliability in vehicles and
Yeah.
technology, and we're like, oh, they don't make them like they used to, right? That's what we say. I've got this old
Yeah.
99 Toyota Tacoma sitting in my garage. I was going to sell that thing about 7 years ago, 8 years ago or so. I'm so glad I didn't. That's the most reliable truck I've ever had. And so I valued reliability. And yet we as men fall so short in the reliability department with our women or clients or our bosses, employers, et cetera, our kids.
Yep. And it all aspects. It's funny though, the reliability, safety. One of the questions I get a lot too from and you mentioned this earlier in the conversation, but a question I get a lot from people I work with in my audience is, where are the good men at? All of that.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course. And I tell them, what guys like Ryan and people the show and everything, because they're the men who are trying to do better. But it is just that idea of, and that's a whole other conversation on polarity and masculinity and all of that. But
Sure. Yeah.
it's not, it's not just showing up. I deal with folks in midlife mostly, and so folks, women primarily in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. Look, I mean, granted, you're going to have people who are hardcore, one way or the other. But the comments I get so often from folks are, they didn't handle a strong woman. I go, that's bullshit. That's totally bullshit. It's just, you have to give some room to allow the guy to be able to do it, but the guy needs to actually step into that void. And there's so many guys who are confused or they choose not to. The simple things of making a plan. Okay. I mean, that I hear over and over again is, like in the dating world. I mean, they've been at work, they're doing something, they may run an organization, they do whatever. They don't want to do that in their personal life. So just the simple act of showing up, making a plan, having something designed already, following through on that, not what do you want to do, just being a simple leader, things you do in any other aspect of your life. Again, you're not splitting the atom, but these are things that we've let go by the wayside. And we need to pick up and make a consistent part of your practice in relationships and anything. You do that, you make a plan in your business, you make a plan with your kids, you just wing it, and otherwise you're you're riding a wave and you have no control over that. This is something that you have control in how you're showing up in any relationship whatsoever.
Yeah. I was thinking to your point earlier about finding good men. I'm thinking about just starting a dating service, and we'll have all the good men here vetted and ready to go. So that's
I'm
kind of a
telling you,
joke, but actually kind
no,
of
it's not
maybe
actually.
interested.
Well, yeah, it's there's a lot of merit to that actually. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Bradley, tell me, this has been a good conversation. Obviously, I've been a fan of yours for some time now, and have used your own information in my personal life as I've navigated things
Thank
in
you.
my life. Let the guys know where to get a hold of you, where to learn more about what you're doing, and connect.
Sure. Well, I appreciate it. I'm a big fan of yours and your work too, and it's helped me personally as well. So
Good.
hey, I'm happy to return the favor on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm on social media. Everything is I'm Bradley Richardson. I am Bradley Richardson. It's advanced adulting, and the site is I'm Bradley Richardson, and I work with people one on one and in a group, and then I have a variety of courses as well. So pretty easy to get to, and the courses are things like this, the stuff to help grown ass adults navigate midlife. That's it.
Yeah. Well, we'll sync everything up. We'll let the guys know exactly where to go so they can learn more about what you're doing. Again, appreciate you taking time. Appreciate your words of wisdom. I love your Instagram posts. You usually do a video a day, it seems like, or maybe every couple
Yeah.
of days. I don't know what your
Yep.
routine is, but I always try to catch those and always get something from them, even if they're only
Thank you.
60 seconds. They're really powerful. So
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. You know, that means a lot, but it means a lot coming from you too, because that's I like to support good people doing good work, and you're one of them. So thank you very much.
thanks, brother.